With an analyzer pattern, before you start to manage them, we need to think, well, what are their needs? What are their core drivers? And how might that impact the way that we need to show up to support them? So, with an analyzer pattern, the first thing to consider is their higher dominance drive. They are naturally quite self driven, self motivated, but they need their independence. They need the control over their own activities and they need to understand the big picture. And we'll need to make sure we consider that when managing them. With their lower extroversion drive, you're going to see them being a little bit more reserved, taking time to think and really get into their own head in terms of solving that problem. They also have a lower patience drive. So you'll see them needing variety, needing change, wanting to work quite proactively on things. And lastly, that high formality drive will see them wanting to do things to a very high standard. They want to make sure rules and structure exist for themselves in their role, but probably for others. So they're their core needs that we need to consider. Now, when we're providing direction to analyzer patterns, we need to keep that in mind. So, yes, they need to understand that big picture. Where are we heading? What do we need to achieve? And what standard is expected? And what pace do we need them to operate? As a manager, we need to help support them in talking through their ideas. So, naturally, they will want to solve things themselves by themselves. And potentially, if you were coaching them, you want to help them verbalize some of their thinking to others throughout the journey to really help validate their thinking. The other great thing about analyzer patterns is how they like to be rewarded and recognized. So I'd make sure that you're considering, yes, their level of expertise and well done for quality of work and well done for contributing your knowledge to the team. But any recognition does need to be done typically in private. They're not the on-stage type of people. They prefer that private, quite sincere piece of feedback. So I'd recommend you do that more one-on-one. Now, if you are coaching an analyzer pattern, typically they'll need coaching to help decide whether they're going to move forward with an idea. So what we see with analyzer patterns is they have a high amount of accelerator towards their idea. They're excited by it. But then they have almost an equal amount of break where they're a little bit cautious and conservative about, oh, I want to do it properly. I want to do it correct, but I want to do it, but I want to do it right. And so for you as a manager, you can really support them through talking through their ideas, looking at the pros and cons and supporting an idea and really helping them see it through to final execution. They will hold themselves to a very high standard. So you might see an element of, oh, I want to do this perfectly before I can proceed. So again, you might want to be coaching them around that as well because they won't want to fail. So there's some of the key things to think about. The last thing I'd say is they will be a little bit sensitive to criticism because of their high formality drive. So just make sure that when you're giving them feedback, you really need to think about what you're going to say to them. Do it in a way that's very supportive. It's not critical, but it's very situational based on their behaviors and the impact, and help them leverage on their strengths in terms of their own quality. That will be beneficial when you're giving them feedback. So hopefully this has been helpful on having a look at how to manage the analyzer pattern.